Hi there, my name is Anirudh Garg, and I am the host of the Dialectic. Join me on a journey as we explore the fundamental myths of modernity and try to figure out what's happening in the world today. Welcome to this breakdown of UFC 266. I, Anirudh Garg, the host of the Dialectic, will be co-hosting with my co-host, Klause. How are you, Klause?
What it do? I'm great, dude. I'm as great as those fights were the other day.
That's good to hear. Those fights were pretty amazing. All right, then let's start top down. Before we even get there, who did you have going in for Volkanovski versus Ortega?
Dude, I was going with the underdog on that one. I was like, I think Ortega's going to squeeze it out. He almost did. He almost squeezed it out. He got close. But
he was so close. Man, that was a devastating fight, and I was actually in the same boat with you. We right now only have one belt in the U.S. right now, and that's Aljamain Sterling, a paper champion, a paper belt. I wanted a belt to come back to the U.S., and I really thought Brian Ortega, since he was so improved from the Korean Zombie, he'd be able to take Volkanovski to town, and sadly, that did not happen.
It went how I thought it was going to. I just thought he was going to sink the choke in. I was like, dude, he's going to sub him.
Which choke?
At some point. I thought he was going to use something like just not like a choke, but maybe an armbar or something. I thought he was going to sub him for sure, though. But armbars are kind of hard on the short arm guy. I didn't really have one picked. I just had it by submission.
See, I for the most part thought that, okay, and I thought this was how it's going to play out, that Brian Ortega was going to keep him off his feet, or at least give him with enough pressure where he goes down because he gets rocked, and that kind of did happen, and then it would end in a submission. But there were three major submission attempts from Brian Ortega. First was the guillotine, which looked super tight.
Almost got it.
Volkanovski's face was literally turning purple. So I thought, man, that would have worked. That didn't. Then he tried the triangle after Volkanovski got on top, and then that didn't work. And I just felt like it was so strange because I'm a jiu-jitsu athlete. I was very strange because it looked almost as though Ortega was giving up position, and that's where he took that nasty ground and pound.
Yeah.
Did you feel that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, he totally pulled for a submission. He went for a submission and lost the position, and that's when he got railed. He got pounded bad. Woo! That was wild.
Should round 3 have been a stoppage, in your opinion?
In a championship fight? No. Dude, you gotta let him go for it, for the belt. For the belt, you gotta let him go for it. That's it, though. If it was a regular fight, like just a 3-rounder, no, you gotta stop that, dude. You gotta stop it right there. But I think if it's I think if his corner's not thrown in the towel, then just let him go for it.
I have somewhat of a disagreement just because I felt like there were so many life-shortening shots. In that case, I felt like at that point, a ref kind of has to step in. We might have a disagreement there, but I just thought that fight could have ended a lot sooner, especially after you saw Ortega's head bouncing off the canvas. And especially because they were having a hard time clearing for the next round.
Analyze it that much. When you're watching it, I only watched it live. When you're watching it live, you're like, let him go for it. If I rewatched it, I'd probably be like, ooh, maybe. But watching it live, I'm always like, let him fight. And,
And I will say this, to be charitable, there was another fight on the card where, had there not been an early stoppage, the entire game could have changed. I think that was Mehrab.
Yeah.
What was
Marlon
Moraes versus
Marlon Moraes.
And okay, we'll just jump around, but that fight was fight of the night, or performance of the night at least.
Yeah, I thought it was going to get fight of the night until the main event, and I was like, oh, the main event, just since it was long and
it has that benefit
action in it. Yeah, it has the benefit of being 5 rounds and running longer. This one only went for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Dude, that fight was amazing. It was so good.
It was the most spectacular thing that I have ever seen. He went from surviving what would have been life-ending shots to re-delivering life-ending shots. When he was cornered against the cage, hiding, and I thought, oh my god, this has to be a ref stoppage. And the responsible thing would have been, and I'm pretty sure you would agree, to stop that fight, but because it didn't get stopped, we had a miracle.
Yeah. Well, Mehrab, that's kind of half his game plan a lot of times, especially when he was fighting Moraes. His coach, Ray Longo, was talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I told him beforehand, he's going to have to basically get just on the brink of losing, And then after that, Marlon Moraes will be completely gassed and you can beat him. And I was like, oh my God, dude, that's basically what happened.
That was the coldest, most spot-on prediction ever.
Yeah.
I would never in a million years ever imagine a coach saying something like that. But it worked. It worked.
Dude, he's an old school coach. It's wild. He went on, Matt Serra has a podcast with Jim Norton, and he was the other guy in his corner, yes. Matt Serra. So
yeah, I remember that.
Ray Longo, the head coach.
And that was interesting. That was the best. Those were the. I think this whole card should win card of the year. I think
it was
not a single
spectacular, dude.
I mean, there were a couple of fights that I was very sad with the endings, but it was at no point not entertaining.
Yeah, barely anybody I wanted to win one besides Mehrab. I was pulling for Mehrab. I was pulling for Rosenstrike, Nick Diaz. I was pulling for Brian Ortega. I was like, dang.
So next co-main event, were you pulling for Lauren Murphy?
I just knew she had no chance, dude. I was impressed she went 4 rounds.
Yeah, I was too. But I mean, who survives Valentina Shevchenko? It's literally Jennifer Maia and Amanda Nunes. I feel like they're the only people who've gone the whole distance with her.
She's got a decision a couple times, I think. But yeah, she never loses, so.
And it's incredible.
Good.
And
she's going to win.
And I'm a little afraid for the women's division just because there are such, other than strawweight, the women's divisions are just so dominated by champions that I'm wondering if there'll be a time when people just stop tuning in for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the sport as a whole is growing so much that they'll just keep it all rolling because they need events to just fill slots for the most part, more than anything.
That's true.
And I just quick looked it up, dude. Valentina went decision with, I don't even know how to pronounce this lady's name. I wasn't too much into the ladies' fights at this point. Liz Caramucci.
Oh yeah, I remember that fight.
A decision with Joanna Champion. I'm not very good at pronouncing her name.
Young Jacek.
And Holly Holm, she went to a decision with.
Okay. Right, I guess, my memory is pretty rusty. She went to a
decision a couple of times.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to look it up. Sarah
I just think in the past, 3 years, I haven't seen her. I don't know when
She's been a destroyer, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, because Joe Rogan wasn't there to say it, she's been a straight-up assassin. All right.
She's been murking everybody. Yeah, she's been finishing everybody. That kind of happens with a lot of divisions, though, when they have a dominant champ. It almost gets less viewership a lot of times.
That's true.
205, like John Jones never really sold any major pay-per-views. He probably had a couple that were near 1 million, but he had some low-selling pay-per-views.
John Jones didn't sell, I think, because he was John Jones, and he couldn't get people interested. George St. Pierre had such a dominant career, he was able to sell out for, at the time, pretty high numbers for the UFC back when the sport was a lot smaller. I think personality matters a lot more than just pure, I guess, athleticism or pure ability to sell.
I'll have to look them both up. Let me pull up GSPs. Yeah, GSP definitely had some big selling ones. He had the highest selling one for a long time.
Yeah, he was the pay-per-view king up until Conor McGregor. Yeah. But to be fair, before Conor McGregor, the UFC was so much smaller. MMA as a sport was so much smaller.
Yeah, so his highest selling ones, GSP, he had one that hit almost 1 million. 900,000, 950,000, then one hit 920,000. Then he had a bunch in like 800 in the 700 range.
Yeah, so pre-Conor McGregor, that's pretty good.
So he had a bunch in the 700 range, and Jones's highest selling one is 800,000.
Ooh.
And then his next highest two are 700,000, and then after that, it doesn't even get like above 600,000.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
He did not sell that much.
That's true.
GSP.
And speaking of old school cool, Nick Diaz, how did you feel?
Oh, dude. You know, he did better than I thought he was going to do, but I was pulling for him. I was weary, especially when he was like, I can't make weight. I was like, oh no. And then when the video of him doing the shadow boxing came out, I was like, oh, buddy. Ooh. But he did a lot better than I thought, and I was actually glad he quit when he did. I was like, good call, buddy. That's a good. I'm glad you're pulling yourself out here.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing quite like the Diaz brothers fightings that gets your blood pumping, but it was very sad to see. One of the things that I noticed is that Nick Diaz was still incredibly technical. He just lacked any power or speed, which I think makes sense. He's getting older, and the first things that you lose as you get older are mobility, power, and speed. But he was still incredibly technical. I think that had his camp gone a bit better, he had not struggled so much with cutting weight, maybe if he was a bit more in shape, he could have gone the distance and maybe even won.
Yeah, dude, it was close. It was close. Man, it was. They did him dirty making that 5 rounds. Did he want that? Was he like, I want 5 rounds?
I mean, I always assumed that it was the Diaz brothers who wanted 5+ rounds.
Maybe. I mean, definitely Nate did, but Nick. I mean, Nick has great stamina, but he hadn't fought in so long. I'm surprised he's
6.5 years
right into a 5-rounder.
Oh, I mean, at least now we know that weed is not necessarily a performance-enhancing drug.
No, dude. He still had pretty good cardio. He just was, dude, for his age and not fighting at all. He was good. He could have went all 3 rounds. No problem.
I think so too.
Like, if it was a regular 3-rounder, and he's like, he could have went all 3 rounds. Definitely, he could have. But he was done. He knew he had lost, and he's like, I'm not doing this for 2.5 more rounds.
That's true. But Robbie Lawler at least looked super hungry for this fight.
Oh yeah, he's always ready. He just has been. I mean, I think he only lost the top guys and Neil Magny. Let me pull him up here. He's been on a losing streak. Yeah, when he lost to Magny, that was not a good loss.
Mm-hmm.
But he only lost to Colby, RDA. These are not bad losses. Yeah, Neil Magny, which is not the worst. Ben Askren caught him. He was winning that fight for the most part.
Oh yeah, wasn't that the one where Ben Askren got...
my favorite champs ever.
No, Robbie Lawler was great, but that fight with Ben Askren wasn't the one where someone got dropped on their neck. I think it was Askren got dropped
hard on his head.
Yeah.
He slammed. Dude, he was whooping Askren bad. He was pounding him, and then Ben Askren choked him out.
Oh yeah, that was the bulldog buggy choke or bulldog choke.
It was a bulldog choke.
Yeah,
it's a pretty controversial. Robbie Lawler's like, I didn't go out, I didn't tap, but at one point they pick up his arm and it kind of drops, and I guess they're like, he's out, and they called it then. But I don't know.
I mean, it's always the toughest thing. Being a ref would be so hard just because of the social pressure. Do you save a person's life or do you let them go on their shield? Because you're fucked either way.
You're getting choked out, dude. Might let you take blackout if you don't want to tap out.
I know. Even rationally, if you make the most practical decision, you're going to get shit for it. It's the only profession where the better you are at your job, the more shit you get.
One way or the other, people get mad, so you just ignore them. That's what you got to do if you're a professional ref. Yeah. Someone's going to get mad. They're going to be like, it was too early, it was too late. Oh, this and that. Someone will be upset.
Or you could go to the Mario Yamasaki school of refereeing and just say, let them fight.
Yeah, dude, Herb, I feel like is starting to get like that. Herb, there's been a couple recently where he'll be looking away from the fight. They'll have moved, rolled positions, and he'll just kind of keep looking at the spot that they were for 20 seconds, and then jolt over to where they are. I'm like, dude, he was zoned out, standing there right then. He's getting a little old.
Yeah,
but they have some great refs these days. Dude. Jason Herzog, he's a great ref.
I love Dan Morgliati.
Is he the one with the sweet mustache?
Yes.
Or is he the bald guy? Oh yeah, okay, the mustache guy.
I think he's the bald guy with the sweet mustache.
Yeah. There's a dude who's full bald, and then there's bald sweet mustache.
Yeah, and he's a brave man for entering the ring and trying to referee with that on. If that gets caught somewhere,
they make him tuck it in now. Have you noticed that?
Oh, I haven't actually.
It's tucked into his shirt now from the past year or so.
Oh, okay. New regulation, I guess.
Yeah.
keep his hair
I
follicles
don't know if
alive.
it's every state. It might not be every state. It might just be certain states because certain states have different scoring rules. Even
Yeah,
depending where the fight is, they score it differently.
that's true. On the prelim card, the fight that I was very excited for was Dan Hooker, because I love Dan Hooker. And I'm just so happy that he got a win back.
Yeah, it's good that he got a win. I didn't know how at first, dude. They were making it sound on the news like, oh, he's having visa issues. He's gonna have only a couple days to cut weight. But then I look up the other guy, and he was also having visa issues and couldn't make it. And his mom had just died. And I was like, dude, I think Hooker can win this one against an unranked guy, Nasrat Hakparas. He was good, but he's lost before. So he should have definitely been able to win that one.
Yeah,
I was definitely, on the prelims, I was looking the most forward to Mehrab. I like Mehrab. Mehrab is a killer, dude. He's been real good.
Oh, before he was not on my radar. Now he is. I thought Marlon Moraes was going to win.
He had been beating good dudes. He beat Casey Kenny. He beat Cody Stamen.
True.
Who else he beat? Let me pull this up here. Oh, he lost to Ricky Simone. I was about to say he beat Ricky Simone. I think he hasn't lost since he lost to Ricky Simone in like 2018.
Yeah, I mean,
He's very good.
I would love to see it. So, for the most part, does that cover everything in the card, or do you want to point out something else amazing that happened?
Let me see. Oh, dude, there was a fast knockout at the beginning. The Semi the Jedi or whatever, Semi the Jedi, Matthew Selmansberger. The other dude fighting, he was only fighting because Nick Diaz was like, in his contract, he was like, you also have to give this guy a fight. And this guy got knocked out in 15 seconds by the hands. Dude, 15-second knockout. It was crazy. But it was a great knockout. It was a clean, very nice. And even beforehand, I was like, oh, dude, I should put some money on this. But the odds were like minus 800. Selmansberger. I was like, dang it, dude. People are catching on too quick now.
No.
But, dude.
One thing I've learned...
super mismatch. Because he's legit. Semi the Jedi, I don't know if you know about him, but he's legit, dude. Wait.
One thing that I've learned...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just going to say, one thing that I've learned is never put money on these UFC fights, because when it counts, I am always wrong. Always.
You gotta pick the obvious ones, and you gotta get good odds. Like, there was solid odds. It was only like minus 125 to go the distance, Ortega, Volkanovski. And I was like, oh, dude, it's either Brian Ortega by finish or it's going the distance. It's not that going.
See, I wish I was that confident. I made a bet with my previous co-host, and we would make like fake money, and we'd try to say who would be better at predicting with money distribution. I always won when we were fake, and then the one time he put real money, he lost everything. So I thought, I'm not risking it. I'm a broke college student. I can't do that.
Yeah. No, I don't bet crazy money. I bet dude, if you put $3 on a fight, you'll be watching it in it's like intense.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what?
My heart already races when fighters that I love are fighting, so I'm like, I don't need a premature heart attack.
Dude, there was some good, another good one. There was some ranked heavyweights on the prelims. Did you catch that one?
Let me remember.
Kristalkis versus Shamil Abdurman. I can't pronounce his name, but he's like 40. But Kristalkis, I mean, he's been fighting older guys. But they're talking about him fighting Derek Lewis. I guess their management is in negotiations right now. I would love that matchup. Are you familiar with the work of Kristalkis?
Yes, I'm trying to remember. It's so hard because usually I have like their faces here, and I associate their faces a lot easier than their names.
Yeah, he only has 4 fights.
What was his last major fight?
But they've all been finishes. He beat Alexei Oleinik.
Oh yes, now I remember.
I think that was the same day that Tom Aspinall beat Andrei Arlovsky, because both those guys were ranked, and it was like they swapped the rankings of like two prospects.
Yeah, no, I remember. I'm a big fan of the Constrictor, Alexei Olenek. I like. Yeah, he's like old school. Love his fights. I just can't stop watching him.
He's fighting Greg Hardy coming up.
Oh, that I'm excited for. I hope he knocks Greg Hardy out or strangles him. I'll take either or.
Yeah, well, Greg Hardy is so bad on the ground. And that Marcin Tybura fight that he just had, dude, Greg Hardy's pretty good on the feet, but the second it went to the ground, dude, he just lost immediately. The second it went to the ground, he just lost. There was no more winning. There wasn't an inkling of a second where you're like, he could get back into this. It just was a progression into loser town. After it went to the ground.
I mean, I think Greg Hardy was a former player of the Dallas Cowboys, so hometown villain, I guess you could say, domestic abuser, terrible villain, dude. Yeah. I get so satisfied every time he.
Was he convicted or just accused?
There was a settlement, I believe. You can double check that, but I believe there was a settlement. He had charges.
That's not good.
And
that's not a good sign.
I mean, then, of course, MMA is a sport that attracts domestic abusers. Have you been following the latest developments of the John Jones story? Have you read the latest details that have come out?
Has there been any proof on that? I've heard some accusations. For me, it's hard when it's just accusations. When there's like a video or something, I'm like, oh.
That's true.
Or just pictures of the lady beat up.
So, correct me if you've heard this before, but so far, according to the official police filings, there was a hotel staff member who noticed that there was blood coming from the lips and and a swollen eye from. I'm not sure about the swollen eye, but from John Jones's fiance when he came down with her to ask for a key card to her room. When asked by the police, she says, "Oh, he just pulled my hair." It did only get a little physical, but she had some injuries which would seem very unlikely to just come from like playful hair pulling. And given John Jones's track record of behaving in any certain way, I am just very upset.
Yeah, he just acts up. He just does not stop acting up. I don't know why. It's at that point, dude. It's almost like I feel like it's almost a brain damage problem,
or it could be a roid problem,
craziness. Or a drug problem. Could be a drug problem. Could be a brain damage problem, dude. He'd be interesting because, dude, over he makes 40 years old.
Over. I really don't. This is a very macabre subject. I don't like speculating on these things, but I think he can make it. Just because Dana White will pull strings to make sure he makes it.
Maybe, dude. I don't know. I think around that time, because dude, if he passes before that, I hope they get to like dissect his body, dude. He's such an interesting specimen. His brain is wild. His legs are so small, but seemingly having no calves, he still generates so much power from his legs without any calves. Like, what is going on with this guy? Yeah, I mean,
I was very surprised that he was putting on weight to move heavyweight, because I felt like if he just stopped cutting, he would probably be able. I mean, he beat DC, and DC was schooling people like Derek Lewis. For the most part, I thought not much.
Beat him at 205.
Yeah, but I mean, DC champ. He beat DC at 205. I don't know in the world where neither of them have to cut if the results would change either way.
Nah, probably not.
Yeah, so I feel like for the most part, he was probably already heavyweight champion. A little bit, maybe like at 5 or 10 pounds of mass would be all he needed, and then he would be able to go to toe with like Stipe, and now I guess Ngannou.
Yeah, I think. Well, this is barbershop talk at this point, but I think Stipe would have beat him. When you get to speculating about who would have did what in the past, it's becomes
that's true.
Talk.
I don't know. You can never be certain with John Jones. John Jones' biggest enemy is John Jones. He has proven that.
I thought he hadn't won in a while, honestly. He was in a position where guys were going to decision with him, and it was close. And at that scenario, I agree with letting the champ keep the belt. But Anthony Smith pretty much beat him. It was close. Thiago Santos pretty closely beat him. Dominic Reyes pretty much beat him. I was like, he's not winning. Like, and these guys are good. They're good, but
I can only agree with you on the Thiago Santos. I can only agree with you on that one. I think he won the other two, but it was very close. I agree with you on that.
Dude, if he wouldn't have illegally kneed my boy Lionheart, I think it would have been a Lionheart win, but it would have been too close though. And you gotta let the champ keep it if it's close.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the last time that Jon Jones fought was against Reyes, and that was back in February of 2020. I think that's going to be his last fight. I don't think he's going to fight again.
I don't know. Depends how he was with his money. He says he bought a lot of property, but dude, if he be spending his money, I could see him. I don't know, dude. I could almost see, depending if Ngannou wins again, if he beats Cyril Gane, and then there's not really anybody to fight him at that point, unless one of these other up and comers beats Derek Lewis or somebody on the top level like that. I could see Jon Jones sliding in for a fight there, but I think he'll only fight for the belt.
Yeah, I think so too. But I feel like what champion is going to give him a shot at the belt? Jon Jones isn't a draw, right? He doesn't make a lot of money.
I think he's an easy win though at this point.
See, it would be very difficult to say that because at least universally he would probably be the pound for pound GOAT had he not been caught using steroids or using PEDs.
Yeah.
So I just feel like saying that anyone has an easy win over Jon Jones is very difficult for me.
That's how I felt about Stipe, and then it looked like he got shot with a gun by Ngannou. Dude, I don't think Jones stands a chance against Ngannou.
I would agree with you now because in Stipe versus Ngannou, the second fight, the moment Ngannou sprawled, I like, okay, yeah, he's going to win.
Yeah.
The moment that sprawl happened.
Able to handle the ground game in the first, at the beginning when they're dry, I was like, oh, it's done so. This is going to be bad.
Which sucks because I love both of them. They both have amazing stories. And Stipe is American immigrant, great story. Ngannou is literally movie-made story. So it's just very tough.
Yeah, dude, I just wanted to see something wild. That's when it's that scenario, I'm like, something wild that happened then.
See,
it's hard when you have both guys.
See, I very much, so I'm an author of a book on modern masculinity, so I care a lot about creating like good male role models. That's why I will never support a piece of shit like Jon Jones, just because I don't think, in a world where even if he's very talented, I don't think he'd be a very good champion. For example, I love Dustin Poirier way more than Conor McGregor, just because I know for a fact he's a much better person. And I like it when champions are good people as well. So I'll always try to root for.
Would hate my favorite fighter then, dude.
Is yours Colby Covington?
All-time fighter.
Colby?
No.
Who?
Tony Ferguson.
Tony Ferguson is a fun guy.
Dude, he's out of his mind.
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily a good role model, but he's a very fun guy. Yeah. I love Tony. I think he's a little
wild stuff.
He's the wildest. I think my favorite is when he. This was after he snapped his ankle over a cord, and he went and got like a metal pole and started kicking it and denting it.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Oh my god, he's out of his mind. Yeah, but he went like his brain is scrambled. He like ripped all the sheetrock out of his house one day because he thought they were like listening to him through the walls and stuff.
So sad.
He does some wildness. He's my favorite of all time, though, dude. He's my favorite. Anthony Smith is up there for my favorites. The Diaz brothers. Anybody who will go out there and use like stamina and toughness to win a fight is my favorite. But those guys go out hard, though, like Tony.
Yeah, it's very sad. Because, man, that Gaethje fight, I look back at it, and because the audience was quiet, you could hear all those shots that I just...
There was no audience, dude.
Yeah, because there was no audience, you could hear all the shots. And it was painful.
Dude,
like anytime
rough. I have yet to rewatch that one. That was, dude. I was like,
it's not an easy fight to rewatch.
And I was like, dude, Gaethje's an underdog. That's crazy. And Dude, Tony's my favorite of all time. And I was watching it, and after he lost, and especially getting demolished so bad, like 10 years probably off his life from that damage, it was like, I woke up the next day like, oh, dude, Tony time is over. That's it. There's no more Tony. The win streak is done. That's it. He's 37.
I mean, Tony...
Dude, I made pretty good money betting against him, because when he was fighting Charles Oliveira and was the favorite again, I was like, dude, are you Charles Oliveira with plus money right now? On
Vegas odds are
stupid.
stupid.
Just took the worst. It just depends on what people are betting, dude. The best plus money I've got the past couple rips was Dustin Poirier, Connor 2. Connor was like a minus 370. Dustin was like a plus 210 or something absurd. I was like, what? Easy pick. That one. Gaethje on Tony he had plus money on him, and that was pretty good plus money there. Roxanne Modafferi on Macy Barber, dude. I was like, I can't believe the gold mine they're just giving away right here, dude. She was like a plus 400 or something ridiculous. I was like, Macy Barber's decent, but she's way too young to be fighting someone who's got the most female fights of all time.
She styled herself as the second coming of John Jones, and I guess she matched him with the swagger, not with the skills.
Yeah. She was that last fight, dude. Did you watch her versus Miranda Maverick?
Yes, I missed half of it just because I had to go.
Horrible decision, dude. Miranda Maverick won 2 rounds decisively, and then the third round was close, and they're like, and the winner is Macy Barber. I was like, what? So it was one of those. That's wild that there's a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah, I think for the most part, there's no screening process for a lot of these judges. Like, there were judges who thought that Gaethje won the first round against Khabib.
Yeah, he was backing up, but he landed all the strikes, though.
Yeah, but he ended the fight on the ground with Khabib in very good position. So So some judges are just...
I would say Khabib won the round. Yeah, I would say Khabib won.
Actually, so
but that's not as crazy as some of them do. There's been some where I'm just like mind boggled at the end. I'll be like, oh, this guy won, and I'll go to the fridge and I'll just hear them scream the other person's name. I'm like, is this a joke? What's going on?
Volkanovski versus Holloway 2. That was straight up robbery.
That was
an easy max win. Easy.
Oh yeah, he dropped him twice, dude. Dropped him twice.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
For the most part, I feel like this is the mentality that a lot of fighters have, and I think it's correct, which is if it goes to the cards, chances are you're going to get fucked.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a coin flip. Flip a lot of times. Max Holloway was the decision quite a bit, though.
So coming up,
many TKOs anymore.
So coming up, what do you think what are the fights that you're most excited for? We know that Aljamain Sterling and Jan are out. That fight's not happening.
That's out, yeah. Oh, dude, I'm looking forward to Kevin Holland fighting Chris Daukaus. Or no, not Chris Daukaus' brother, Kyle Daukaus, next week. I think this is a good, easy win for Kevin. Maybe not an easy win. I wouldn't say easy win. These Daukaus boys are tough.
No, but it'll be a banger.
This is at his level again. He was fighting top 5 guys. Like current top 5 guys. Those were his 2 losses after a 5-win streak over Jacare being his best win. Jared Gordon, maybe.
Oh, the Jacare Souza knocking him out from bottom. Yeah, that was amazing.
And Nico Price fights next week, dude. He's always fantastic to watch.
He's like the perfect balance of fast but technical. It's always there's the showmanship in his style is a thing of beauty. I would like to once again thank Klause for joining me. Now you can find him and his MMA podcast at Brutal with a B on all of these platforms. Link in the description below. Please check him out. I think he's a very insightful person, and you can learn a lot about MMA, especially if you're a newbie or trying to get into the sport by checking out his content. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like this content, and share it with all your friends. It really helps, and growing this podcast is the first step to exploring more of the fundamental myths of modernity.